Mr. Subconscious. Let's have some more inner dialogue. So, I had one of my homies call me the other day, and he asked me about workplace dynamics with beautiful women, especially. Like how I would handle um a certain woman, or how I have handled before, and things like that. And those things have changed over time as I grew as a man, as I grew in, the level of game or understanding and just knowledge I walked through the world with. So I start off with discussing how I was when I was young. When I was younger, a beautiful woman could get me off my center in a snap of a finger. Like a lot of young men with high testosterone, right? Especially if you're a young man with high testosterone and she finds you attractive, man, you're gonna be just just constantly in that state, right? So when I was young, I did mess with girls I worked with, women I worked with, and I spent a lot of time, cultivating workplace relationships, work wife, work, and I would be a work husband, right? To even women who had situations, right? And those weren't always physical, but most of the time, a lot of guys want them to be physical, right? But me and my homie ended up having a really fruitful conversation, and I was like, man, I should really touch on this, but I want to come at it from a certain angle. So when I used to, like I was saying, when I used to mess with women in the workplace, it was physical, and you know, I saw it as not a major concern because most of the time it was, something that was really chill. But looking back, I not only see the foolishness in my actions, but also the risk I placed, not only my livelihood, but my freedom, right? And in college there's this thing called Title IX. I'm sure a lot of people know what Title IX is, right? But zero tolerance, man. Zero tolerance for any form of sexual misconduct. But the risks aren't obvious, right? You could lose your job, you could lose your relationship, you could yada yada yada. Everybody knows the risk. Nobody really cares about the risk. The risk doesn't really deter people as much. So the possible rewards could maybe seek you to go down the path we're about to discuss today. But everybody going into a workplace romance situation or sexual situation, especially young men, um, with the wrong kind of mindset, right? The wrong mindset is it's it's one of the worst things to go into it with. And the first thing I want to talk about is work versus play. Before we really dive into the higher level game, this is just high level game. This ain't even top level game. And it ain't God level game, right? So this is just a higher level game, right? HLG. A lot of young men, a lot of old men, a lot of middle-aged men, a lot of men, period. I was guilty of this. So I can't even sit here and I'm not judging. I'm just saying This is something we as men struggle with. We have not found a way to fully compartmentalize work versus play. Compartmentalizing work versus play is going to be not only the difference between success and failure, but the difference between self-control and being controlled by others. Self-control is a virtue for multiple reasons, but one of the reasons is we're going to discuss today, right? Why are you thinking about women when you're working? You working to ease your livelihood, your labors, to ease your mind. You're working to secure your future. You're not there to seek pleasure. You're not there to actively seek pleasure, right? And so many men go in on some about the grind, and then a beautiful woman comes and their attention is diverted. They didn't intend to, just got diverted to it, right? And it's hard to refocus that once it's diverted. So we're going to talk about a couple of steps outside of the work versus play. That's just a larger lesson to chew on, right? But once you master that, there's a higher level to it. And this level is in recognizing a major key, right? How many men have had girlfriends, have had an interest in a woman? He made her his girlfriend. She made his life worse in a way. Became a bill, became a headache, became X, Y, and Z. That was negative. That happens a lot. But for some reason, the minute a man sees a more beautiful woman in the future, he forgets that cycle. He forgets that cycle. And what often happens is they end up blaming women rather than themselves. Right? And this particular place I'm about to describe is a place that a lot of men don't want to end up. It's not a physical place. It's a relational place. It's a point of relation a lot of men are scared of when they're attempting to woo the emotions of a woman of interest. And this is the friend zone, right? Rather than trying to screw your coworkers that may be fine, finding a way to establish a professional relationship to yield fruits that could be far more greater is something that's worth way more of your time. It's worth much more of your time. It's just a far better use of your time, right? Purposefully friend zoning yourself serves several purposes. Number one, you get to know what kind of woman you're dealing with, right? The older a man gets, the less excited he should be to jump into bed with the woman. He should actually be more and more concerned to jump into bed with a woman. Not to the point of anxiety, but just to the point where reason will always govern the decisions that you make, right? So I really advocate for purposefully friend zoning yourself. Purposefully try not to be sexual, even in suggestive manners, to women that may even show you sexual interest. Try to be the one that's disciplined enough to keep it there, and not just to pique interest later. Like, no, that's not what this is for. A lot of guys will be like, oh, pretend like you're not interested, so she'll mess with you more. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I literally mean, even if you are interested, withhold your need to indulge in that interest as much as possible to serve a purpose that'll give you so much more than just sex. May not even give you sex, right? But purposefully friends on yourself, for one, to get to know who this person is. For two, to get to know what this person does. And for three, to get to know how this can converge in your benefit. I'm going to repeat it because this is some high level game. For one, to get to know who this woman is. For two, to get to know what this woman does. And for three, to get to know how this can result in a positive benefit for you, right? I'm gonna give you an example. So I used to date all kinds of different types of women, from younger than me to older than me, different nationalities, different kinds of hood girls, smart hood girls, ratchet hood girls, different kinds of sophisticated girls, right? Really stuck up sophisticated to, bro, I'm telling you, you name it. I've had the gambit, different races, different religions. I've had several gambits. There's several I haven't had any experience with, and I can't speak on. But this particular archetype is a professional woman. Shout out to BGS Idmore. I would say she was around a 87 octane, around 87 octane, right? Um, Middle management, corporate, staunch feminist, right? I wasn't even sexually attracted to her as much. And it was years before we had any form of sexual contact. But I started to be sexual with her because I thought it may gain me certain favors. Not knowing that those favors would end once the sexual element would end. But that respect she already had for me and would have given me those things anyways, right? So this woman, we ended up getting together and we ended up being real cool for several years, right? But we had some struggles. All in all, though, I really calculated and I recognized she's invested around, including some of the positions she was able to get me into that resulted in a direct dollar figure. She invested around $78,000 into me. Only when I calculated this after our relationship and us going separate ways in life did I really calculate this. Juxtapose this woman who was around an 87 octane, middle management, corporate, was actually in position to be able to get me these opportunities that resulted in monetary value, right? Juxtapose this woman to a really talented chick that I was just having sex with, singer, really talented. She couldn't get me no opportunities, right? These were both women I worked with. And again, this is something I only realized after the fact. This was not something I was just, Mr., game hip dude while I'm in it. Nah. Or anything I intentionally planned. That was the only thing I planned to do in both scenarios for the most part was have sex. Now, granted, I I thought with the first one that the investment was much higher to 87. I thought I went into that thinking the sex was going to lead to favors, but these favors weren't thought about. It was just an ambiguous thought that I had. Wasn't very purposeful, but I had the right idea. So now juxtapose that woman to this woman who I'm just screwing, getting nothing from, getting nothing, who can help me in no way in life to get better. But the funny thing is, both of these women will want me to be better and be a better version of myself. And they would want me to benefit from that, right? But one of them, I'm positive 78,000. And that don't count all the little shit, store runs, all those little things. The other one might be minus a couple thousand if you count the amount of money it took to entertain them, right? The two differences are the amount of personal investment that they were able to have towards your growth, toward my growth, right? At each point in time, one woman, there was a time where I was with both of them, so I could consistently juxtapose the actions between the two of them, and I would see, man, I wish I thought I could build a bitch, which was like, oh, maybe I could get this from this one and this from this one, and it was like just some young, dumb, selfish young man shit. So I quickly realized that me having sex with my coworkers was muddying the potential that I could have reached with them on a different level. That 78,000 could be 150 right now had I kept my penis out of the equation. And that zero or negative a couple thousand could be maybe 50,000 had I managed the situation properly with the other one, right? But what we're going to talk about, the prerequisites were work versus play, something I didn't understand yet, right? And purposefully friend zoning myself, something I didn't understand the value of yet, right? A lot of men only purposefully friend zone themselves for women who are ugly, right? But these lessons are so that you could purposefully invest into your future. Both of those women had qualities that, had I cared about investing in the relationship for the progression of a definite aim, it would have been much more fruitful. But the only definite aim that I was focused on was getting a nut off. Even with the first one, where the result was, hopefully something it was a hopefully. The only one I really wanted to do was smash. Smashing in hopes of getting something is totally different from truly sitting back and recognizing the golden opportunities that are outside of your dick. Can you figure out a way to have a relationship and capitalize on even sexual chemistry that may exist for positive professional ends. Because let's say you screw with them. The only thing that results in is less concentration on your job and most likely less money in your pocket. But if you keep your mans out of it, most likely you'll have more concentration on your job, which will result in, at the very least, maintaining your job, which is not a bad thing, right? But at the most, it could mean you now have not only someone to collaborate with, but someone who wants to see you win. Not only someone that you can bounce ideas off of, but someone who can have your back. Not only someone that can have your back, but someone that you can start a business of your own with. A lot of men look at women in the workplace as eye candy and not potential competitors or potential business partners or people that you can utilize to become better. Maybe even an assistant. Like, oh, let's say rather than trying to bed that fine chick that's in your department who also thinks you're fine, if she thinks you're fine, she'll want to spend time with you. Why don't y'all spend time seeing if you can get better at that chart that you've been sucky at? See if she's good at that. Hey, Marjorie. Let's say her name is Marjorie. Hey, Marjorie. I have this budget report, but I'm terrible at pivot tables. Are you good at pivot tables? Actually, I'm not bad at them, but we can try. Now all of a sudden, you working on that pivot table. You wanted to get your stress relieved by getting that nut off and distracting yourself. But you're forgetting this woman that is in front of you that you may just want to screw with could solve a much bigger problem in your life. Right? And this is that higher level that most men aren't on. Because they don't even want more out of life to begin with. But can you ask yourself, can you first of all discipline yourself enough to say, okay, I'm not at play, I'm at work. So how can I make this chick work? Right? Then can you say, can I purposefully friend zone myself to get to know who she is, what she does, and how this can help me? And then can I capitalize on whatever attraction or whatever draws us towards each other? Because it's not always a physical or emotional attraction. It may even be just a normal professional interest, right? And a lot of guys will see this normal professional interest and try to make it sexual rather than see how this professional interest can relate to a number in an account. Right. And funny enough, a lot of guys that don't consider themselves misogynistic, they'll be like, oh, I'm not misogynistic, or I love women and this, that, or a third. They actually have never collaborated with a woman outside of a school project that was mandated for them to collaborate with a woman, or a work project that was mandated for them to do so. Even an attractive woman. For a lot of men, no attractive woman is off limits. I'm saying purposefully make, especially the women at work that are attractive, that may even be attracted to you, off limits, so that you can figure out how to make the relationship far more fruitful. Because here's the secret: the sex can always come. Can always come later. But that can destroy years of a professional relationship that it took to build. Right? But again, this is high level game, man. Like I'm telling you, man, when I really get these Patreon tiers up, y'all gonna be upset, because this is real game. Stop trying to screw that woman, man. Find out what she can do, and then find out how that can help you. Stop trying to screw. Find out what she can do, and see how that can help you. Another thing is, that concentration. A lot of men are willing to allow this fine woman at work to break your concentration. Don't let her break your concentration, man. Don't let her break your concentration. I know she's fine and she has assets, but the point of this whole video is for you to focus on her other assets. Can you see her as an asset? Not just her assets. I repeat, can you see her as an asset? Not just her assets. You heard it here from Mr. Subconscious first. Can she be a muse instead of a source of amusement? Can she be a muse instead of a source of amusement? Right? Stop trying to screw your coworkers. If you want her that bad, here's how you know you want her that bad. Quit your job and ask her on a date and say, "You so fine. I had to quit my job just so that I could date you, because I don't date women that I work with." And one or two things are going to happen. She's either going to mess with you or she's not. But one thing is guaranteed: you're going to be out of a job. Now, I'm not saying you can't mess with that girl and everything go exactly how you want it to be. I've done it. I've risked it. Risked my employment. Risked a lot of things. But I'm not into taking stupid risks anymore. I'm into taking calculated risks. Probable risks. Educated risks. Like starting a business. Right? But why risk your employment when all you have to do is just get a little bit of compartmentalization? Decide this is not the place for that. Matter of fact, I had an OG that told me he only messed with women on Sundays. Literally the only time. If it wasn't a woman that was already messing with him, he only went out to find new women on Sundays, or went out to meet new women on Sundays. And it had to be within a set routine or a set place, or, And so he was like, that results in cutting a lot of numbers. Especially when you think it's a numbers game. It's only a numbers game if you're looking to just get a lot of women, not really get the top quality interactions with top quality women. You know, catching the right fish is going to take a certain bait. But yeah, work versus play. Purposefully friend zone yourself. Find out who she is, what she does, and how it can help you. Not just personally, professionally, maybe even hobby-wise. Something she is good at or something she knows could help you in your life and move you forward to become better. She's fine, but she still ain't a dollar sign. I'm Mr. Subconscious.